the third Cass County Toastmaster that we have here tonight. In addition to James and I, we have Bryan Wilburn from our club here in Fargo. He's also an area director for District 78. And so tonight he's going to be sharing with us his experience with podcasting. So Bryan, take it away.
Thank you so much, Megan. How long are you going to let opportunities like this pass you by? This is a question that kind of launched me into podcasting because I asked myself this on numerous occasions. Maybe it was at a time in my life when I wanted to start a blog or, go out there and do stand-up or something crazy. And it was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But this opportunity came up again. How long are you going to let these opportunities pass you by? Maybe you can relate with that. Maybe you wanted to start a blog. I want to write a book. I'm going to become a professional speaker. I'm going to change my field. I'm going to start a new business. Can you relate with any of that? I'm going to. And then you don't. Well, I got sick of saying that. And that started me in the road of podcasting. And now I've been leading a podcast called Just Ask Rethinking Development, a fundraising podcast because I am a professional fundraiser. And I've been doing that for over a year. And I want to share today the reason, I guess, why I got into podcasting, the benefits I've found from podcasting, and also just some down and dirty tips, statistics and tips to get started if you yourself want to launch into podcasting. So why did I start to do it? Well, number one is because I like podcasts. I enjoy listening to them. Podcasts are highly popular among the US population. I think it's something, the statistic is 62% of people in the US have listened to a podcast at least once. And there's about a third of Americans, about 108 million people who listen to podcasts on a regular monthly basis. There's a big audience for this. I enjoy podcasts on everything: sports, humor, men's interests, stupid stuff, history, you name it. I like podcasts. So it was a medium that I myself enjoyed. And because of that, I wanted to consider going into it myself. The bigger reason is that someone encouraged me to do it. Have you ever felt that? Where you feel like there's something that you want to consider doing and you're like, nah. And then someone encourages you. I think of like the movie, if you've ever seen Zoolander, it's about a male model, Derek Zoolander, and he's looking at a silver spoon and he's like, and then I thought, wow, you're really, really ridiculously good looking. Maybe you should do that for a living. Do what, Derek? Be professionally good looking. Stupid. But the point is, he encouraged himself. Maybe you're encouraging yourself, or maybe somebody else encouraged you. But that's what happened to me. Somebody said, oh, Bryan, you should start a YouTube channel. And I was like, I don't even go on YouTube. I know it's funny, but I look at it for stupid stuff, but I really don't use it. But I love podcasts. And I thought I would do that. I would consider podcasting. So someone encouraged me. And the other part, and this is key, is that I felt I had a message. Maybe you do too. And it's that message for me of fundraising. I wanted to communicate something that I never thought I wanted to get into. It's not a common thing. Try asking someone for money. It's not normal. It was something that I didn't think I was going to get into, but really felt God called me into. And after doing it for 10 years, I found that I had kind of developed a pretty good skill for it. And I really wanted to share that with others. So there was a message. And the next part is that, okay, I want to start a podcast. I have a message, but then I found somebody to team up with. And I found a friend who had been in the industry longer than I myself had. And he also wanted to start a podcast. And I knew that this would split the responsibility and the time commitment that we would each have to put in, because a podcast doesn't take zero time. It takes some time. But if you divide that up, it helps. It also makes it kind of like James was talking about. It's a more conversational, attractive medium to listen to. It's not a monologue. And so with two of us, there was a conversation. So that gave me more encouragement. And the final piece was that I was in Toastmasters, honestly, because Toastmasters, as you get into the higher levels, you have an option. You could start a podcast, you could start a blog. And like I said, I wanted to start a blog at one point. And I think I even created one and I never launched it. And I was like, no, that ship's gone and sailed. Forget that. But I like podcasting. It's a relevant medium right now. I'm going to do it. And Toastmasters was that final push. It's like, you're never going to finish level 5, dude, if you don't do this. So I did it. And that got me to start it. We recorded it, we launched it, and away it goes. And that was over a year ago. So what are the benefits of podcasting? Well, number one, you can become a thought leader. Now, this is an interesting thing. I feel like sometimes you can get really pretentious with podcasts. Like if you meet a person for the first time, they're like, hi, my name is Steve, and I have a podcast. And you're like, okay, Steve, get out of here. Everyone has a podcast. But there really is something to it that if you have a podcast, you're like, oh, you have a podcast. And there may be people out there who are thought leaders who don't know what the heck they're talking about. Great. Why don't you get out there then and become one of those thought leaders and get your message out? Because we need better people out there who are leading, the messaging that we're hearing. So you become a thought leader simply by the fact that you're out there getting your message across. The other part is that it really is a creative outlet. For me, a lot of us here in Toastmasters is that creative outlet, but we also, with podcasting, I don't know how to explain it except that if you have that, creative spirit and energy going on, it's a way to kind of get the crazy out. Maybe you're in your personal field. Fundraising is itself a bit mundane, can be, but by having a podcast, I can communicate and I can get some of that really creative energy out there for others to hear. It is also a way to really clarify your own thoughts on what you do think. Even if you've been doing a certain field for a long time, you could really start to understand, okay, what do I think about this subject? And how can I better understand this? Well, communicate it. The next piece is that it opens up doors that were not there before in terms of even, say, job opportunities. Because if you're podcasting within your field, you are going to meet people who think like you do. So I have experienced that, and even in my own podcasting, I started to communicate what I thought about fundraising. It started to connect me to people who thought the same way I did, and opportunities have come to work with people that I want to work with. And so job opportunities could be there for you if that is something that interests you. And it also, it really, even if you don't want the job opportunities, it can promote collaboration. So you can start to collaborate with people around you who are working in the same field simply by getting your message out there with podcasting. And I think most importantly here is that you are able to, when you communicate a message, you add value to the world. And as Toastmasters, that's one of the most important things that we want to do. It's speaking. We want to speak well. And this is a new avenue. You don't have an audience in front of you like I do right now. You're just there in a room, but you do have an audience and they are listening. And if you communicate well, you add value to the world. So again, there's those statistics that I kind of peppered along the way. One of the other ones, just the kind of the key ones I love to convey, is that Apple and Spotify dominate the podcast market. If you are not on there, you are not a podcast. It's not even close. Those are the biggest ones for that people listen on. And as far as the down and dirty, like some people have already really hit on, you need a mic, could be your smartphone, and you need a way to record. And once you have that, you need to find a podcast host, not like who's going to host my podcast, but like the hosting site. And by that, the biggest ones out there are Anchor. That's what I use. Spreaker is another one. Buzzsprout. Those are all big ones. Something like that. If you have any interest, feel free to message me offline. I'm happy to give any tidbits I've learned along the way with that. And you need to upload a logo. Apple will not let you on it if you don't have a logo. So you got to have something, even if it's just a picture of your kid. I don't know. And you need to get your first episode out there. So really, podcasting has been, for me, a great journey. I hope that some of you will consider it. It's a great, effective, and fruitful way to communicate your message. And as you're really thinking about, should I or shouldn't I, just ask yourself, are you going to let this pass you by? Thank you.
Game over.